Hello out there in internet land. This is the P&J F1 chat, episode 15. Wow, we're almost up to 20. Who knew? I'm your host, Phil Lamington, and beside me is my co-host and journalist extraordinaire. He is more twisty than the Zandvoort bank corners. JB. JB, how are you, my friend?
More twisted than Zandvoort, only in my mind.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm alright. I'm good. I'm feeling better.
Yeah?
I'm a little tired, but I'm alright.
Because we missed you on the wrestling podcast one last night.
Yeah, I missed the AEW pay-per-view, but I'm here. I'm back in the saddle again, as whatever band sung that song.
Yes. So, Sunday night was the Dutch Formula One Grand Prix.
It certainly was. Certainly was for the first time since 1985.
85?
Yeah, long time back at Zandvoort.
Because the last person to win it was Niki Lauda.
Certainly was.
Asshole.
That was my line. I'm pretty sure he had all those corners, including the banked ones.
Yeah. It's an interesting track, though, isn't it?
It's old school.
With bank corners.
Banked corners, which you won't see anywhere outside of America. Like proper banked corners.
Yeah. And like we've played it in the video game, and it really does feel like a roller coaster ride.
It does. And when the FIA says they're not going to implement track limits because track limits is a gravel trap, you know it's pretty old school.
And I like the fact that they've got gravel traps. Yeah,
well, how many drivers have said that they don't want tracks defined by lines and asphalt and, you know, that rubber sticky stuff that's all over Paul Ricard. They want tracks, you know, the track limits traditionally coming up through karting and coming up through the junior formulas. Traditionally, the track limits are a big, dirty old gravel trap. Like, you know where the limit of the track is, because if you go over it, you're going to be bogged.
Yeah, that's right. It's the risk versus reward.
I was worried that was going to get like super sandy, because it's in the middle of like a big dune pit by the looks of it, but it seemed to have held up pretty nicely. And just watching those cars go through like turn 3, there's like 3 or 4 different lines through there. Like, you'd have a guy go low, and then you'd have the guy go up high and try and get more momentum around the corner down the straight. It was pretty cool. There was 5 or 6 different racing lines, like depending on what corner you took. It was pretty unreal to watch.
And typically, like, again, bringing up the game, like we found when we raced on that track in the game, most people would look at, I think it's turn 3, which is the heavily banked corner.
Yeah, the big hairpin, but it's on like a 45-degree angle.
And most people would look at that and go, there's no way I'm trying an overtake on that. And yet it is one of the better overtaking places if you can get...
If you can get the high line. I saw it in the Formula 3 race as well. It can work on the low line.
Yeah.
But if you can get the high line, you can keep the minimum speed up and you can just slingshot out of it, which is, you know, generally what they do in IndyCar and NASCAR. So, you know, I mean, a lot of those drivers don't think have ever driven on banked circuits like that. So it would have been an experience for a lot of them.
And all the drivers seem to like the track anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a little bit procedural because there's not many overtaking spots outside of turn 1.
It is quite narrow,
It's
too.
a very narrow track. It's very almost single file. But as Sergio Perez showed, you can overtake. You can overtake, because I'm pretty sure he got about 12 cars by the end. So, you know, it is possible to overtake. And interesting to see when we go back here next year with the new cars, the new Aero, how much of a difference it'll make.
Yeah.
Being able to follow down the banking and down through the straights and not having that aero wash. Yeah. Because that seemed to be the biggest factor, was aero wash and front tyre graining. So we'll see when we come back next year how good the new aero is. This could actually turn into a pretty good racetrack in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, keen.
Well, speaking of the race, so we've got the official results of the race, where the race was won by Max Verstappen for Red Bull Racing at his home Grand Prix.
Yeah, he absolutely dominated the weekend.
Yeah.
Good on him. He drove like he had a fire under him, and he needed to. After Hungary and Silverstone, he needed to show that he still had that fire, and in front of however many Dutch fans were there, like 200,000. Like, Amsterdam's like, the Netherlands. You got Amsterdam, which is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The Tomorrowland Festival, which is one of the biggest like music festivals in the world. The Dutch know how to party, man, and they rocked that place all weekend, even from practice. From practice, like, the grandstands were full. Like, from practice all the way until the end, and they all went to that Tiesto, I think his name is, concert. And so, like, they partied all weekend, and then the race was finished, and they went and partied some more. So, good on the Dutch.
They were told not to bring smoke grenades and flares, but clearly...
So what did they do?
They brought smoke grenades and flares.
They brought 1 million smoke grenades and flares because you couldn't see the banked corner at the start line. When they were lining up and those lights were about to go out, you couldn't see the last corner because there was so much orange smoke. I mean, MotoGP does the same thing with Valentino Rossi fans. Don't bring yellow smoke. So what do? They all bring yellow smoke.
In second place was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, who also got the fastest lap.
Yeah, he got the fastest lap on the final lap, even though Valtteri tried to do it and was told not to.
Yes, we'll get to that soon. Third place was Valtteri Bottas in the other Mercedes. Fourth place, really good result for him, Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri.
He had a good weekend. He had a lot of pace in that AlphaTauri. Yeah, he was, very well. Very good weekend.
Fifth place was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Sixth place was Fernando Alonso in the Alpine. Seventh place was Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari. The Ferraris had a really good weekend too.
Yeah, the Ferraris had a strong weekend. They had a very strong weekend. Alonso had a good weekend too. I didn't realise he finished sixth. I didn't realise he split the Ferraris at the end there, but he found some pace late. He had contact on like lap 1, turn 1, but he obviously found some pace after that. He must have enjoyed his time at the Dutch GP.
Yeah. Eighth place was Sergio Perez. He got voted as driver of the day.
And rightly so.
He started in the pit lane.
He locked his tyres up like not long into the race and had to make a forced pit stop. So he actually had to do an extra pit stop compared to a lot of the guys around him. But he overtook, as I said, about 12 cars, and he drove the wheels off that Red Bull. I mean, for a single file and as narrow as the Zandvoort track seems to be, he showed that it can be done, definitely.
Ninth place was Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. It was a quiet weekend for him, but it was a solid weekend.
Yeah, he was disappointed. I saw his post-race interview. He seemed a little disheartened, especially because of what Fernando did. He felt like he had the equal car to Fernando, but as a lot of drivers complained, blue flags got in the way a lot. And considering that everyone but the drivers that stood on the podium were lapped, by the end of the race at least once, a lot of traffic and congestion issues by the time it got around to mid-race, but not much you can do. He still brought home points, which is good for the mid-pack battle for them.
Yep. Lando Norris came 10th in the McLaren. He didn't have a great weekend.
He started 13th. I mean, he missed Q3 for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Got held up in traffic. Yeah, neither McLaren had a great weekend. They just struggled for outright pace and were stuck in traffic the whole weekend. It's not a good result considering where Ferrari finished. I think it actually saw Ferrari jump them in the constructors as well, so not the greatest weekend. But they get the chance to bounce back at Monza, where they almost got a win last year. So, yeah, they'll bounce back. I think Lando did all he could. Ricciardo swapped positions with him at the end, so he actually sacrificed the one championship point he was going to get. A bit of regrouping to do with those boys.
Yeah, because Ricciardo, he qualified a lot higher than Norris, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. I think he did out-qualify Norris because Norris got stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
The red flag actually stopped Norris doing his flying lap. So he actually did out-qualify Lando, but by the time Lando caught up to him and passed him, I think Lando he was the faster McLaren. I mean, it'll hurt Daniel to have to cede a championship point, but
He is a team player, though.
he's a team player, and they struggled. They equally struggled. I don't think this game they were at Spa. I would have loved to have seen how they would have gone in a proper race at Spa because low downforce track, I think they had a real chance.
Yeah.
But this high downforce, high banking, twisty, maybe didn't quite suit the McLaren today. I mean, 2 months ago.
Ricciardo had engine issues, didn't he?
Yeah, his car was leaking oil almost immediately, but thankfully it didn't force him into retirement and he was able to finish the race. But yeah, it was very early on, lap 2 or 3, that George Russell was noted to his team that Ricciardo was dropping oil. So, but his car made it the whole 72 laps, so take a positive. He finished the race. It wasn't in the points, but at least he finished the race.
That Mercedes engine's reliable.
Yeah, exactly.
In 12th place was Lance Stroll. He had a rather unspectacular weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, he was just there in the mid-pack doing his thing, trying to be a team player.
Vettel in 13th. He had a solid weekend. He just overcooked it.
Yeah, Sebastian Vettel was the first one to stop out of everyone, just trying to get out of traffic and trying to undercut people. It didn't work, obviously. He wound up finishing behind his teammate, which probably didn't help his cause, didn't help his mood. But they're probably the same struggles for the Aston Martins as for the McLarens. Maybe it didn't quite suit the car as the lower downforce track maybe would. So good chance for them to bounce back in Monza next week as well. We go from a twisty tight track to the fastest track on the calendar. So good chance.
14th was Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo. He qualified really well. He qualified, I think, 7th.
Yeah, both Alphas seem to qualify. He did. I don't know. Kubica did. But they seem to have some pace early in the weekend. It just sort of fell away.
Oh, Gio said he didn't have a really great start.
No.
And it just went backwards.
I think he made contact with someone early on.
On the first lap he tagged Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, I don't know how much damage that did to his car, but they definitely seemed to fall away as the race went on.
And then Robert Kubica in the other Alfa Romeo filling in for Kimi Räikkönen, who he had to drop out of the race because he has COVID.
Yeah, he tested positive for COVID on, was it race day? Was it race day or qualifying?
No. It was on Friday.
Okay, because do you remember Robert saying he missed... Yeah, he missed practice. So we got practice 3 qualifying in the race, and considering he hasn't driven since 2019, 15th isn't a bad result.
I don't think Kubica should have been driving, though. I think they should have given it to Callum Ilott.
Yeah, but I think Kubica's still officially signed as their test driver, isn't he?
Yeah, but so's Callum Ilott.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
But, Kubica's there. He did a solid job.
Yeah.
16th was Nicholas Latifi in the Williams.
Yeah.
He started from the pit lane as well.
Yeah, he didn't have a... Yeah, because he wiped the Williams out in qualifying, didn't he? Yeah. So, yeah, probably did as good as he could. He finished ahead of George Russell, which I guess is a feather in his cap.
Yeah, well, George Russell came 17th.
Yeah, but he... I think he retired. I think he actually had hydraulic issues at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, he did, actually.
Okay.
He had hydraulic issues at the end, which is why he finished 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mick Schumacher finished 18th in the Haas.
Yeah, he did not have a good weekend.
Wow, I mean, he had that lunatic teammate of his.
He got cut off by Mazepin in qualifying, who also cut off Sebastian Vettel, and then was cut off by Mazepin again on lap 1 of the race. So I don't think Nikita's on his Christmas card list at the moment.
No. I think Mick Schumacher's just sitting there going, get me the fuck out of this team. Get me out of here.
Ooh, breaking news. Breaking news, live, not so live when you hear this on the podcast. George Russell has officially signed with Mercedes.
Breaking
Breaking news.
First here, except for everywhere else.
Yeah, you'll hear it first here, but you won't actually hear it first here because this won't be up for a couple of days.
We'll try for tomorrow.
Here at 19:04 on Tuesday, the 7th of September, George Russell is officially a Mercedes driver.
Well, you have to do better than 17th. And
I think you'll get a chance.
then in 19th was Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
What happened with him?
Hydraulic issues too, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of hydraulic issues this weekend.
Okay. And Nikita Mazepin was dead last in the other half.
Yeah.
What was his reason?
Shit driving.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't know.
So the chain of events, the power unit events. So lap 1, Max Verstappen starts on pole position and retains the lead. He had a nice little battle between Carlos Sainz versus Giovinazzi versus Alonso versus Ocon. And I think there might have been a Daniel Ricciardo lurking in the background as well.
Yeah, the opening couple of laps were real exciting. Pretty sure Russell hit Alonso in the middle there, or Giovinazzi hit Alonso.
Yeah, Gio hit Alonso.
Yeah, there was a bit of contact going through turn 1, but aside from that, it was alright. And then, obviously, Mazepin tried to murder Mick Schumacher, but at the end of the lap.
Yep.
But Max had a 1.7 second lead by the end of lap 1, so you knew he was not going to let it go. He was off and running as soon as those lights went out.
On lap 21, Lewis Hamilton.
You've gone a long way ahead.
Oh.
All right. Let me fill in the gap because I stayed up.
Do what they do in Jurassic Park and fill in the DNA gene sequencing gaps.
All right. Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren was smoking and dropping oil on lap 2, but McLaren insisted it was okay, and it turned out to be. Lap 19, Sergio Perez makes a nice move on Nicholas Latifi. It was pretty brave. I think it was around the outside of turn 1. Not a lot of room out there. The track proving notoriously hard to overtake on, but a bit of bravery served him well. And, lap 21.
Lap 21, Lewis Hamilton pits, which causes on lap 22 for Max Verstappen to pit.
Yep, pretty much forced them both onto a two-stop strategy from that point.
That's because Lewis really did shred up his tyres, didn't he?
Oh, he did. I mean, Max's pit stop also was 2.7 seconds compared to Lewis's 3.6, so Mercedes put themselves under pressure right from the bat.
That's something I've got to say is that this season Hamilton has shown that he's really munching up his tyres.
Yeah.
He's not doing well with managing his tyres.
He was complaining almost. I think it was 8 laps in. He was complaining.
He's complaining every fucking race.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, literally 8 laps into the race.
It's not a Formula One race if Lewis Hamilton is not on the radio bitching to Bono about how his tyres are gone.
It was like maybe 5 laps from the end, 6 laps from the end, and Max Verstappen's race engineer got onto him and he's like, oh, Lewis is, whatever he was, 10 seconds, 12 seconds behind. And then Max is like, is he complaining about something? And then his engineer's like, yeah, I think his tyres are gone. And I'm like, ooh, is that a subtle dig? I don't know if he was being serious or taking a subtle dig at Lewis, but I think it might have been the latter.
So then on lap 30, so I've skipped a few laps. Is there anything in between there? 22 and 30?
Russell, Stroll and Giovinazzi all stopped on lap 29.
Okay. And lap 30, Max Verstappen passes Valtteri Bottas for the lead.
Yes, he did.
And then straight after that, Valtteri moves to the side and lets Lewis through.
Yeah, lets Lewis through and then stops on lap 32.
And then lap... God, I've got to be... I've got writing like a doctor, I swear.
All right, I'll swing this on.
Lap 33, Sebastian Vettel spun on turn 3.
Yeah, he spun on turn 3 and Bottas went around him. Lap 34, George Russell was given a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which is probably why he finished rather low.
Mm-hmm.
Lap 40, Lewis Hamilton made his second stop, fitting a set of scrubbed medium tyres, which triggers Max Verstappen to come in on lap 41 for a set of brand new hard tyres, which he was a little bit hesitant about, but made it work. Lap 44, Nikita Mazepin retires from the race for hydraulic issues. There you go. I did write it down. It wasn't shit driving. It was his car. Probably hydraulic issues when you bump off everyone, huh?
Yeah, it's Formula One, not Dodgem cars.
Lap 50. Lewis Hamilton complains about his tyres, but sets the fastest lap, while Yuki Tsunoda retires in the AlphaTauri.
With hydraulic issues.
Lap 55. Sergio Perez gets past Daniel Ricciardo for 10th, who Daniel Ricciardo then let Lando Norris through, I think, later on. Lap 67, unless you've got anything between then.
Don't.
Sergio Perez gets past Lando Norris.
And they clip.
Both make contact in turn 1, but neither car seems to have damage. Lap 68, Valtteri Bottas pits for a crack at the fastest lap point. He sets the fastest sectors in Sector 1 and 2, but is told by his engineer to not set the fastest lap and eases off in Sector 3. He does actually set the fastest lap by about 0.8 of a second, but he did ease off in Sector 3, which meant on lap 71, Lewis Hamilton went in for the solitary championship point shot at the fastest lap. George Russell pits and says his 5-second penalty, which means on lap 72, Max Verstappen wins the Dutch Grand Prix in front of his home crowd to a massive pop. Lewis Hamilton finishes second and sets the fastest lap, and Valtteri Bottas finishes third.
There's one thing I've got to say about Max Verstappen. He won that race in front of his home crowd. He didn't really make a ginormous spectacle of himself.
He wasn't running through the sand trap with a British flag, I can give you that much.
Yeah.
He wasn't like driving around doing donuts like Lewis was at Silverstone.
Yeah.
I think maybe he realises he needs to compose himself a little bit.
I think
it shows a bit of maturity, to be honest.
I think he knew the crowd was happy that he won the race. He didn't need to make a show pony of himself like Lewis Hamilton did at Silverstone.
They'd been partying all weekend. They don't need any more reason to go party.
Oh, he's given them enough reason to party for another night. He's probably gone and partied with them.
Probably. Why not?
But yeah, I just thought it was a real contrast between Lewis Hamilton and his look at me, flashy bullshit.
I think Max knows the job isn't done.
Yeah.
Like he just got the championship lead back. I think he knows that the job isn't done.
Yeah.
So he was, and I think it was touched on by the commentators too. It's like, he just won in front of 200,000 Dutchmen, but he's not making a big deal out of it. He's actually pretty measured, even post-race. Like he wasn't jumping around or whatever. He was quite cool and controlled. I don't know if that's something he's mentally doing himself to keep the nerves down, to keep the energy down, but not get carried away with it, or if it's just maybe it's just him. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. So that's the race results.
Yeah, that's the race in a nutshell.
Now comes to the favourite bit of the episode.
Your favourite bit of the episode.
It's typically your favourite bit of the episode.
Yeah, you just like hearing my rebuttals.
Which is the pit lane questions.
Mm.
And the breaking news stuff.
Yep.
So we'll start with the first domino that fell, which was, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday. I think it was Thursday. Kimi Räikkönen announces that he is retiring from Formula One at the end of the season.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, he's been punching above his weight for quite some time.
I think ever since he left Ferrari.
Even that last season at Ferrari.
Yeah, like the downhill slide started quite a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
He won his championship at Ferrari. He was all right at Lotus.
Yeah.
And he was pretty all right back at Ferrari, but then, the last season at Ferrari and then down into Alfa Romeo, he's just been making up numbers.
Yeah.
Same as Valentino Rossi in MotoGP. I mean, the dude's a legend and everyone loves him, but he knows that he's been making up numbers. He also announced his retirement, coincidentally. He's been making up numbers, and you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and it's just like, well,
When do you call it? When do you call it?
You either call it or the team calls it for you.
And he said that he'd announced it back last winter. Like he knew he was leaving, like retiring. So he'd known since January, February that this was it.
Yeah. I mean, but we sort of knew that too.
Yeah.
I mean, we said at the start of the year, it's like, this could be his last.
It's been a guessing game for the last couple of years. Is he going to retire? And
yeah, I mean, it was all well and good for Alfa Romeo to want to keep a former world champion on their books, but at what cost?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Callum Ilott sitting there. You've got a bunch of young, up-and-coming F2 drivers that want their shot in Formula One.
There's that guy outside that just did a burnout.
Is he driving a Commodore?
Probably.
Is he going to see how good he is in the wet?
Probably.
Is he going to Canelands?
Probably.
Nice.
So, yeah, Kimi Räikkönen. But, I mean, Kimi Räikkönen has had an impressive career.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Take nothing away from... And the fact that he's probably the most popular driver in the paddock just because of his carefree attitude.
I think he's the most popular driver in Formula One.
Yeah.
He is
him and Lando and Max.
He is a bona fide meme lord.
Yeah, he just doesn't give a shit, and that's what people love about him.
Yeah.
I mean, the Finnish seem to not give a shit. I mean, Valtteri's... But you look at Valtteri, the way Valtteri acts, completely different.
Yeah.
To the way Kimi acts. Kimi just literally does not give a fuck. And that's what people love about him.
Mika Hakkinen, he had a bit more personality to him than Kimi. But Mika Hakkinen, like, he would have a joke, old Mika. You know, like, his car blew up in Australia, I think it was 2000. And he walked back to the pits and they said, Mika, what's going on? And he's going, shit, Jesus Christ, bastard car or something. He was just swearing for the sake of it, but he had a grin on his face the entire time because he's like, we've got a quick car. We just got to make it work properly.
That car was beautiful, the MB413. Love it. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that was Michael Schumacher won that year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Probably because Mika Häkkinen's car blew up in Australia.
A lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
But, you know, Kimi's had an impressive career. He's well-liked by fans and drivers alike.
Everyone loves him. You know, he won the 2007 World Championship. Yeah. Very well-liked. And what race did he win?
His last win was...
His last race was in a Ferrari.
Yeah, it was Texas.
It was Texas.
Coda.
Yep, Coda in like 2018 or something.
Yep.
It's like 300 and something days since he... won a race? Was it?
Yeah, he hadn't won a
ages.
race. He hadn't won a race since 2012.
Yeah, since Abu Dhabi 2012. It was like 3,000 days or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time. But, yeah, no, one of a kind. I mean, he definitely won't be forgotten.
I'd like to see him be a race steward.
I don't think he will. I think he's done.
Yeah.
He's going to go home. He's going to go home. He's got a son. Or one son, two sons?
He's got 2 kids now, I think.
He's got 2 kids.
And he's married to Miss Finland.
Ex-Miss Finland. Like, what more does he need? He's going to go home and play in the snow now.
And drink.
Lots.
And he's got plenty of money where he can do both and get away with it.
Yeah, he's done. He went.
And he can write more poetry books.
He writes poetry books?
He's got a book out. It's a limited number, but it's all haiku poetry.
He's a talented man.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's Kimi Räikkönen writing haiku poetry.
That's brilliant. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But no, he's done. I don't think you'll see him in F1 paddock again. I mean, maybe as a guest, but I don't think he'll be in a advisory role. I don't think he'll be in a steward role. I don't even think he'll be in an ambassador role.
Yeah.
I think the only place you might see him now is World Rally Championship, but
or endurance
racing if he wants to.
Yeah.
But he's under no obligation to do it.
Yeah, well, he's never owed anyone anything. He's just
Lotus owes him, but
he's not going after it.
No, that's just a measure of the man.
So that was the first domino that fell. Then the next domino that happened was, I think this was announced on Saturday, because I think I was out at Bowen, that Valtteri Bottas has signed with Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
I would have tipped him to have gone to
Back
Williams.
to Williams. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, with the Mercedes connection and everything, but he went to Alfa Romeo because apparently when he was in GP3 or F3 so long ago, the team he drove for was owned by Frederick Vasseur, who's the team principal of Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
So he's got a good relationship with Frederick Vasseur.
That's good. I mean, he could have landed either, but I guess he has his reasons.
That were the only two places he could have gone.
Yeah, he could have gone back to Williams, or he could have landed at Alfa Romeo. And good on him. I mean, I honestly thought he was going to go to Williams just because that car seems to have more of an upside. But if he's happy enough to go back to Alfa Romeo, then so be it.
Yeah, well, he seems happy with it.
I don't think he is. I mean, let's be real. Like, it's a historic team with a lot of history, but you can't tell me leaving the best team, the second best team on the grid.
Yeah, but you weigh up your option, though. I mean, leaving the best team on the grid where you are the number 2 guy who's getting told to abort your fastest lap so that Lewis Hamilton can get the fastest lap, or go to a lesser team and build it from the ground up.
You'll be a number 1 guy at least.
Be a number 1 guy where he's...
But you're not getting championship points every race. You're not fighting for championships anymore.
You'd be fighting to get into Q2.
He had his chance to fight for championships and he didn't take it.
No.
We've said it. He doesn't have the killer instinct.
Yeah, he just didn't pull the trigger.
He just doesn't pull the trigger, and his replacement will.
Yeah, well, then that leads us to the breaking news straight off the Telegraph.
Yep.
That George Russell is going to Mercedes to partner with Lewis Hamilton.
So he will not be a number 2 driver.
An all-British driver lineup for a German team.
It's like World War II never happened.
That was 100 years ago too.
Well.
Look, Russell's going to take it to Lewis. We know that.
Absolutely. I mean, he took it to Bottas in his one appearance in the Mercedes and made him his bitch.
Yeah.
So he'll absolutely take it to Lewis. I hope he does. I hope he doesn't. I mean, give him some time to settle in, sweet, but I hope he doesn't sit back and let Lewis lead the brigade because he's got enough talent to be the number 1 driver in that team.
Yeah, well, Hamilton's only got 2 more years. Like, he's got next year and the year after on his new contract.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think that'll be Lewis's last contract.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to keep going after that.
No.
He's been around for a long time too. We seem to forget that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Russell's going to have to take the fight to Hamilton.
He will.
And he's going to have to take it to him from the kickoff.
From the bat, yeah. Don't sit back. Don't rest on your laurels. There can't be any warming in period.
He's got to be Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, he's got to go straight for him.
He's got to go for the jugular.
Yeah.
He's got to assert his authority.
Yeah, do not fucking be his whipping boy from the start.
Because the instant you give Hamilton an inch,
he'll take a mile.
Bono and Toto will just sit there and go, right, you are now the number 2 guy. You've got to take it up the arse from Hamilton.
I don't think he will. I think he's got enough talent, enough speed there to bring it back. I hope he does, and I think he will. Absolutely.
Right, well, my next question is, who is going to partner Valtteri Bottas and Alfa Romeo? Now, I've heard some names getting bandied about, and I wrote them down. So, apparently, Gio has been given... He's got one more race to prove whether he wants to stay at Alfa Romeo. Effectively, he's got one more race to prove if he wants to stay in F1.
Well, he finished 14th, so that's probably not a good start.
Yeah, well, he started 7th and he went backwards.
He started 7th and he went backwards, so no, not a good start, at least at Zandvoort.
Because apparently Ferrari they've just seen him going, yeah, we don't think he's going to work.
Well, we've been saying that for 2 seasons now.
Yeah, that's right. He's just a seat
there.
filler.
Yeah, he's just there. He doesn't do anything spectacular.
So, Gio could retain his seat. Other names being bandied about to go to Alfa Romeo. Nick de Vries, Formula E champion.
Mm-hmm.
And this sparked up another rumor. Once Nick de Vries' name came up, it started sparking rumors that Alfa Romeo were actually going to start cutting ties with Ferrari and start building a relationship with Mercedes.
I heard that too. I heard they were going to ditch Ferrari, like even Ferrari power units, and go all for Mercedes.
And then Frederick Vasseur came out on Sunday and said, no, we want to strengthen our ties with Ferrari.
Okay, so they still want to be the B team.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, smart enough. Mercedes has enough fucking customer teams without having to throw another one in the mix.
Well, that's right. They've got 4 teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they can supply engines.
And you're only allowed to supply 4 teams.
Exactly.
So
they can't do anything.
Their quota's done.
Yeah.
The next driver, who apparently is high on the list, is Alex Albon.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't good enough for what Red Bull needed, but that doesn't mean he wasn't an okay driver.
Christian Horner has said, I want to see Albon on the Formula One grid, whether he drives for a Red Bull, an AlphaTauri, or another team.
Christian Horner gave him every chance too. Like, he tried to save him, but he just wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez sort of is.
Yeah.
Better at the moment.
The next one, I think this guy is the favourite to get that seat, and that is Callum Ilott.
Yep. I'd sign him up tomorrow. Callum Ilott and Nick de Vries. I want them both in Formula One.
Or Robert Schwartzman.
No, Ilott earned it.
Yeah. Look, I think
Ilott's Formula 2 champion, isn't he? I think he won. Or
No,
was it Schumacher?
Schumacher won.
Yeah,
it
okay.
last
Well,
year.
he's Formula 2 runner-up. Like, that dude's earned his spot. Like, that dude needs to be in Formula 1. I don't know what's keeping that guy out. The same thing that's probably kept Nick de Vries out this long. Nick de Vries was F2 world champion 2 seasons ago. Like, he beat Lando Norris at the title. Like, yeah, I don't know why all these talented kids aren't already in Formula 1 besides money, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got teams like Alpine bringing back Fernando Alonso, so
And
there's X amount of seats on the grid.
Yeah, you got people, you got old-timers coming back. Take nothing away from Fernando, though. He's actually been all right this season.
Yeah, I mean, he started off pretty sketchy, but
he's warming to it.
Yeah.
Like, he's back.
I mean, we were very critical of him at the start of the year.
We were very critical of him until, was it Hungary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he drove the legs off that car.
We were very critical of both of them until Hungary.
Yeah.
And then they just drove the asses off those Alpines.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's earned his stay of execution, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see Callum Ilott get that seat at Alfa Romeo.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Robert Schwartzman get like a test driver role.
Yep, they've both earned it. I want to see Nick de Vries on the grid, eh? I don't know where you slot him.
We'll get to that in a sec. Another name being thrown out. Now, I'm going to butcher this, okay? But Guan Yu Zhou.
Guan Yu Zhou? Yeah, you didn't butcher it. That's his name.
Yeah, because
it's like Huan Yu Zhou.
I actually wrote it down as you say it.
Yeah,
because I had no idea how to spell
Huan
it.
Yu Zhou, yeah, the Chinese driver, yeah.
But he's
in Renault's.
Yeah, he's the
Formula
Renault
2
Academy.
Team? Yeah, he's the Renault Academy driver, which is Alpine's feeder team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been there for a while. He's quick. I still think Callum Ilott's the more talented driver, but he's a quick option.
And the last name on the list was Théo Pourchaire.
Théo Pourchaire, is he the Formula 3 driver? I've heard that name.
No, he's in GP2.
Okay, Théo Pourchaire. I've heard that name, yeah. Yeah, no, I think if I'm signing anyone,
it's Callum Ilott.
It's Callum Ilott, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Which then leads to the next one, which is who is going to replace George Russell at Williams?
Who's the current Mercedes test drivers?
Shit, you've got me there.
There was someone on the F1.
Well,
TV.
do you want to know who the big one that everyone thinks is going to get the seat at Williams?
Who?
Fucking Alex Albon.
So
Even Toto Wolff has said we'd like to see Alex Albon in that Williams.
So Alex Albon will go to... Well, then, okay. Well, there's smoke, there's fire.
Well,
Alex Albon goes to Williams, and Callum Ilott goes to Alfa Romeo.
I don't think they should let Albon leave as his role as test driver for Red Bull. He's helped develop that car that Perez and Verstappen are driving. And like I think when Perez won, what race did Perez win?
Was it Azerbaijan?
I think
Was it Baku? Might have been. Wow, look at us.
after he won
Integrity.
the race, he said it was a team effort. It was him, it was Max, and it was Alex Albon that developed the car. And he paid credit to Albon.
Okay, so you're Alex Albon. You get another season as Red Bull's test driver, or you can get in the Formula One car back on the grid and drive for Williams. Are you content sitting around test driving the Red Bull that you're not going to get back in as a race driver for another season? Or you're not even getting back into AlphaTauri because Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda re-signed today.
Yeah,
They just re-signed new contracts, so you're not getting back in the Red Bull and you're not getting back in the AlphaTauri. You're not. All you're going to do is drive simulator laps and test laps. Or you can get back on the grid and show Christian Horner that he was wrong. Show Helmut Marko. You're probably not going to, I'll be honest. But you can at least be back in a Formula One car on a Formula One grid in a Williams. Because you're not getting back in the Red Bull. And the two AlphaTauri guys just re-signed 2-year extensions.
yeah.
So unless you're willing to sit there and be a test driver for another 4 years, and you're not, take your chance while you got it.
Yeah. But I mean, other names being thrown around for the Williams seat are Nick Hulkenberg.
I think he's past it.
Yeah, I think he's past
In
it.
the same way that Robert Kubica shouldn't be driving a Formula One car right now.
No, yeah.
He's past it. Like
Yeah.
he's done. Yeah, no, he's had his time. He's past it.
I think
That's like bringing Roman Grosjean back.
the number one contender for that Williams seat should be Nick de Vries.
Alex Albon's fresher. Nick de Vries has no Formula One experience. And if the team principals are saying that he should be the one in that seat, then
Yeah, but Nick de Vries, on the other hand, is a Mercedes Academy driver.
maybe that gives him
And
an
the only
edge.
reason why he went to Formula E was because there was nothing for him at Formula One.
Yeah.
So Mercedes went, well, we'll stick you in Formula E, and he's Formula E world champion.
Yeah, he's got talent. Like, we've known he's got talent ever since he was Formula 2 world champion. But for whatever reason, he's just stuck on the outside. And if Alex Albon is the one they want, then Alex Albon's probably the one they're going to get.
Well-
Only because he's fresh. Like, he's driven a Formula 1 car as recent as, what, last year? The year before? Like, yeah, I don't know. I would like to see Nick de Vries on the grid. And I would like to see Callum Ilott on the grid. And I hope they are the two. But I can see the argument for Alex Albon as well.
Well, here's a question. Does Nicholas Latifi deserve to still be on the grid?
No. He's done nothing.
Despite the fact he's got more points than George Russell.
That's just the way that you can't. We had this discussion. You can't tell me that Nicholas Latifi is a more talented driver than George Russell.
Oh, no, just George Russell has just had the worst luck in the world.
It's just he's had shit luck. Like the one race where they score points. Like wasn't there a race? He like finished 11th. It was like the one race he could have scored points, and then like something bad luck happened, and he finished 11th. And
Yeah.
he's had terrible fucking luck this year. There's no
Actually,
way.
no. George Russell now does actually have more points than Nicholas
Because he got
Latifi.
the podium.
Yes.
He got the.
But, I mean, Nicholas Latifi, he's on the grid because, last year, before Jost Capito and his Dorilton Capital Group bought Williams, he was there as a pay driver. And now, Jost Capito has come out and said, we don't need a pay driver. We've got financial backing.
Yeah, Nicholas Latifi's done nothing to save that seat. If he was there for money, great. But now that they don't need the money, they probably don't need him.
Yeah. So if it was up to me, I'd boot him out the door and get Nick de Vries and Alex Albon.
Yeah, why not do the 1-2 punch?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he'll stay there only because he's got experience developing the car.
Yeah.
I mean, he's developed that car. I mean, he's not the better driver in the team, but he's helped develop that car for like 2 or 3 seasons. So if they're going to do it, they'll do it one at a time. They'll bring in Albon or de Vries this year, and then when they're comfortable with the car next year, they might look at moving him on.
Well, Frederick Vasseur said when it came to the Alfa Romeo lineup, he's like, if we feel that we don't need to retain a driver from this year for next year, we won't do it. We don't have to retain drivers if we don't want to retain drivers. If we want to put in 2 new people into our car, we can do that. It's entirely up to us what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of these drivers have any pull over the teams, except
Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, maybe. I mean, yeah, you got to remember the drivers are there to perform and to deliver results. And if they're not, then there's nothing binding them there except Nikita Mazepin's money.
Yeah.
He's probably the only one that can't be booted because his dad's about to buy the team. And Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
But everyone else on that grid could be booted at any time.
Yeah, anyone is fair game.
Yeah, except Max. Max is probably safe.
And
Lando,
Lewis.
And Lando. And Lewis.
Yeah.
But anyone else on that grid could be booted whenever. And Charles Leclerc, he won't go anywhere.
No.
Yeah, I mean, drivers are just as expendable as anyone else on the team.
Yeah.
And it's a results-driven business, and if you're not getting results, you're not earning your paycheck.
I mean, if Alfa Romeo's driver lineup was up to me, like you've got Valtteri Bottas,
Yep.
I would get Mick Schumacher. Get him out of that Haas.
Does he want out of the Haas?
Is
the option to get out of the Haas there? Can he?
Oh, I think it's up to Ferrari.
Then it's up to Ferrari.
Yeah.
If it's going to be... I mean, he's going to be in the Ferrari in 3 years anyway.
Let me ask you this question. You're Mick Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to be teammates with Mazepin one more year?
If the option is the option available to jump ship?
I'm asking if it's up. If it was up to you.
If I had the option to sign with Alfa Romeo or stay at Haas, I'd probably look at going to Alfa Romeo, but Callum Wylott's probably the hot seat there.
Well,
the
one thing that is looking appealing with Haas is that Ferrari has actually built a facility at their Maranello track for Haas. So
and they've
Haas
got all
can
their
develop.
tokens to spend next year too.
Yeah.
Didn't they put all their money into next year's car?
Yeah.
So the next year's Haas, I'd stay there one more year, probably not beyond that.
Yeah.
Because if Carlos signs a 2-year contract with Ferrari, one more year at Haas, then maybe try and jump to Alfa Romeo, and then you're probably in the Ferrari seat anyway. Like, his future's sorted. Like, his destiny, the path is paved. As soon as Carlos signs his contract's up at Ferrari,
Yeah.
the prodigal son's in there. So
Yeah.
he's gotten, unlike a lot of his midfield compatriots, he's got fucking nothing to worry about.
No.
He's not gonna wonder what he's doing in 5 years. He knows what he's doing in 5 years. He's gonna be a Ferrari driver.
That's something. How good would a Ferrari driver lineup of Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher be? Because Mick Schumacher, that man has got talent. He drives like his old man. I keep saying it, but
He just needs the car under him to prove it.
Exactly.
And he'll get that. Yeah, I think they'll be very good. I think it'll be very good. I feel a little bit bad for Carlos Sainz because he's well and truly earned his spot there. But Sainz could always wind up back at McLaren if Ricciardo doesn't work out.
I don't think Ricciardo is going to work out.
Yeah, he's really not coming to grips with that car too much.
I think
I want him to.
Ricciardo's biggest blunder of a decision, sadly, was leaving Red Bull. Because he went to Renault. That went nowhere.
He left Renault right when they were coming back up too.
Yeah.
Like, that car was getting better, and the Alpine didn't really deliver it at the start of the year, but it's starting to deliver it now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Alpine's a better car than McLaren. It's not. But the Renault probably wasn't that much better of a car than the McLaren either.
And what's scary about the Ferrari, like this year's Ferrari, is that after Monza, they've got another engine update.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. I mean,
That's going to be more power.
yeah, the fact that that car could get even faster.
Because at the moment they reckon they got about 20 horsepower more than the Renault engine in the Alpine.
Yeah.
You put more horsepower in that, you're getting close to the Mercedes and close to the Honda.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they're down by about 40 horsepower on the Mercedes. You bring that up to 20 down on the Mercedes, you still got a viable machine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see how many teams still have updates left. I think Mercedes said they've got one more and they're definitely done. I think Red Bull's used all theirs, McLaren's used all theirs. It's the balancing act of, you're closing the season out now. How much more do you put into this year's car before you switch to next year's?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Right, well, which then leads us to the current driver standings. So in first place, we have Max Verstappen on 224.5. Here we go with the 0.5 points again.
Oh, yeah.
224.5 points. Lewis Hamilton drops down to second with 221.5 points. Valtteri Bottas has reclaimed third with 123 points. Lando Norris has dropped down to fourth with 114 points. Sergio Perez is still staying fast in fifth with 108 points. Charles Leclerc jumps up to sixth with 92 points. Carlos Sainz drops down to seventh with 89.5. Pierre Gasly jumps up to eighth with 66 points. Daniel Ricciardo slumps down to ninth with 56 points. And Fernando Alonso jumps up to 10th with 46 points.
Yeah, that's probably a good run of results for Gasly and Alonso there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's reflected.
And the Ferrari boys.
Yeah, the Ferrari boys had a very good weekend, yeah.
It does very much feel like Lando Norris is carrying McLaren.
He is. I mean, he is.
And that's a shame because Daniel Ricciardo, he's such a nice guy. But
He's
I think
a talented driver. He just can't get his head around the car yet.
I think if there's one criticism of Ricciardo that particularly this year, he's got to stop clowning around. He's got to focus.
He's trying to play it off as much as he can, isn't he?
It doesn't help that Fox Motorsport seems to play up that there's tension between those two.
There's no
all
tension
the time.
there at all, but he's just trying to play it off. Yeah.
And then we get the constructors' standings. Mercedes is still in the lead of the constructors with 344.5 points. Red Bull on 332.5 points. Ferrari has jumped up to third with 181.5 points. McLaren drops down to fourth with 170. Alpine stays at fifth with 90. AlphaTauri stays at sixth with 84. Aston Martin stays at seventh with 53. Lewis. There's a team called Lewis. Did you know that?
Lewis Williams.
Yeah, it's got Bono as its team principal.
Get in there.
Williams in eighth with 20 points. Alfa Romeo in ninth with 3 points. And Haas dead last with Zipkis.
Don't think they're going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So that was the Dutch F1
Yes.
race. This weekend, Sunday, we go to the Cathedral of Speed.
Yes.
Cathedral of Speed.
Temple of Speed.
The home of the Tifozzi,
Oof.
Monza.
Yes.
Who do you think's going to take out Monza?
I feel like the Mercedes might have a power advantage. I don't think the Red Bull has a power advantage, eh?
I was going to go with Max.
I don't think the Red Bull's as quick as in a straight line as we thought it was. I'm not 100% sure they have the power advantage.
But I'll say this. It's all right being first, having pole position. It's not so much who's got pole position. It's who can get out of that chicane alive.
Yeah, I think this is good track. This is a good track to chase people on.
Yeah.
You don't always want to be the leader, especially with the DRS zones around there. I don't know. I'm keen to see it though. I think Lewis might win it. I think the Mercedes has a power advantage, but the Red Bull won't be far off. I don't think.
No, it'll be a very interesting
I don't
race.
think it'll be a crazy race like last year where Lewis got that penalty for ignoring the red flag and it came down to Gasly and Sainz and the AlphaTauri and the McLaren. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it'll be Max versus Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm keen for it. I'm keen to see what the McLaren can do in a straight line, what a Ferrari can do, what the Aston Martin can do in a straight line, what the Williams can probably do in a straight. I think George Russell might be on for more points.
For me, the X factor of Monza will be Perez. He's the X factor. He's got to get in there. He needs to
qualify well, though.
He's got to get in the hunt. He's got to get in the game.
Yeah, he needs to qualify well. He needs to put pressure on Valtteri Bottas.
Because the 12-point gap at the moment is the difference between Bottas and Perez.
That was the difference between Mercedes getting 2 drivers on the podium and Red Bull getting 1.
Yeah.
In the top 5. So, yeah, Perez needs a good qualifying weekend. Like, he needs to be up the pointy end to help Max and to help Red Bull. Because otherwise, Mercedes is going to double team Max like they did in Spain. And like they did in, where else did they do it? I can't remember. They did it to him twice this year. Like it was Max versus both the Mercedes on alternate strategies. So, yeah, no, it's imperative for Red Bull that Perez qualifies well.
Yeah.
And then obviously the fight between Ferrari and McLaren is going to be good to watch.
I think McLaren's going to have the advantage
McLaren
over
has the power
Ferrari.
advantage over the Ferrari, which would be good. They need a big weekend too. They need a bounce back. Yeah. They've had 2 pretty shit races in a row.
I think qualifying McLaren's going to be better than the Ferrari. I think during the race, the Ferrari's going to have a good shot. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, it's going to be good to watch. It's going to be good. Like
the only problem is it's going to be Lando Norris versus 2 Ferraris because I don't think Daniel Ricciardo is going to be a factor.
Yeah, but this isn't a hard track. All you got to do is plant the loud pedal for 80% of the lap. It's not a technical high-speed track. Like, I think if Daniel's going to have a chance to not have to arm wrestle the car, it's probably at Monza.
Yeah, but Daniel Ricciardo's having problems with the squeaky pedal.
We'll see,
not the loud pedal, the squeaky pedal.
We'll see. We'll see what he does.
But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. And it'll be also very interesting how AlphaTauri, Alpine and Aston Martin fit into the puzzle as well.
Yeah, well, considering AlphaTauri won this race last year with Pierre Gasly. Absolutely. Yeah. They'll be, they're probably not hoping or expecting another result, but they'll at least be buoyed by the confidence that,
I think the other factor that might help Ferrari is, in fact, it's their home race and the Tifosi.
Yeah, I mean, obviously home support's massive, but the crowd doesn't really help straight line speed.
No, it helps the driver's confidence, though.
Unless they got a Mexican wave the car down the straight, but...
That would be cool.
That'd be mad. We'll see. It's going to be good. I mean, it's a completely different track to Zandvoort.
Yeah.
It's wide open throttle. It's just going to be all balls to the wall.
Yeah.
The narrow rear wings. I love Monza because the rear wings are like your blinds. Like when you crack your blinds open and they go from like folded closed to like open and like you just get this narrow little strip of wing and the DRS opens and it's like a little letterbox.
Why do I think you sit at home and like open your blinds while you've got the aircon on going? I've got the DRS open.
DRS open. I do that in my car. I put sports mode on when I overtake trucks and pretend it's a DRS zone.
You used to do that with your old Ute though. Drop the tray at the back for the DRS.
Imagine the old Falcon. You could just drop the tray, DRS. Fuel economy just goes skywards.
Actually, my car was really good on the trip back from Bowen too.
Good.
There and back on half a tank.
Bowen's only an hour away, hey?
2 and a bit.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Good chat.
Anyway, so we've just revealed that Johnny breaks the road Road rules are the way
Regularly.
to board.
Regularly.
Well, thank you for tuning in this week to the latest episode of the P&J Formula One Chat. On behalf of myself and my co-host JB, we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week for Monza. Until then, I'll actually talk into the microphone. Until then, goodbye.